What's going on, everybody? It's me back with a new video, and today we're talking about books. Tomorrow's actually World Book Day, so I wanted to share books that I have read and enjoyed, and a couple that I'm currently reading or want to read while in this shelter in place. So I'm sure you're looking for some recommendations. People have been asking for book recommendations all over the internet, so I figured I'd just make a video about it. And most of the books that I read are what is it called? Non-fiction, meaning they're like spiritual, self-helpy, that kind of thing, or like biography even, although I don't think there's any biographies in this thing. But basically I feel like if I'm going to spend time reading a book, I'm not one where I like want to escape into something. I actually want to learn about myself and learn about something. So I feel like that's what I spend time doing when I'm reading. Everyone's different, but that's the kind of vibe these books are. I did a video a long time ago where I recommended, I think, 3 or 4 of my favorite kind of spiritually themed books. I'll probably repeat those in this video. So it's World Book Day. Get out a book, sit and read for hours instead of binge watching TV, which I also do a lot of. I definitely watch more TV than I read, but I still do enjoy reading. So one of my fave books, and I come back to it all of the time. Sometimes I just read one story or passage from it. It's quite a thick book. There's a lot to take in here. Women Who Run with the Wolves. This is a famous book. If you meditate or follow any kind of meditation healer, teacher, practitioner, anything, who's female, they have read this book, and they cite it as one of their faves. So that's how I heard about it, basically just, I don't know, through like getting into meditation. It was like one of the first books somebody said I needed to read. And rather than me trying to explain it, but it is a collection of like stories that have been passed down through the author's, I guess, history or whatever, and stories that she's learned from other women. But this line describes it all, that Dr. Estes has created a new lexicon for describing the female psyche, fertile and life-giving. It is a psychology of women in the truest sense, a knowing of the soul. And that's the best description of it, because it even says here, a deeply spiritual book. She honors what is tough, smart, and untamed in women. She venerates the female soul. That's basically it. And I feel like anyone who identifies with a lot of their female character and psyche, you know, we all have a male and female energy to us. And I think anybody who feels that and knows that should read this book. Like, do I think, you know, like a straight white man needs to read this book? Probably not. But there are people who don't identify as that. And I think that it could be very, very interesting and helpful to kind of connect to that softer female energy. And not even softer, just like really powerful, fiery, like female presence that we all have in our life, whether we feel it within ourselves or around us. So I feel like it's a really important book, and it's almost like a Bible. And it is like, you know, stories and like, you know, fairy tales and that type of thing, but they all have a deep meaning to them. And so this is probably the least non-fiction book that I read, but it still obviously is kind of self-help in a way, because it helps you discover more of who you are and really tap into that energy. So this is one of my faves, okay? Took me a long time to get through it all, but I still go back to it. It's like not like, and I underline and highlight that book, and it's dog-eared. So yeah. Another one of my favorites is Mike Dooley, Infinite Possibilities. He also has one called Leveraging the Universe, and a new one that I have over there called Playing the Matrix. But I feel like this is the essential one. All about, of course, thoughts become things, law of attraction, beliefs, undoing habitual chronic habits of belief, all these kinds of things. Sometimes it's even helpful to open, a lot of these books I just open randomly on a day and then like read a passage, and it usually resonates or has to do with something. So it's also kind of a good workbook. You know, he has exercises in it. He has just like good bolded quotes that you can just open up and read if you're looking for inspiration, but still read it front to back. I've read it twice in full, but I really like it and I always come back to it. I always recommend this one. Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic. I love this book. Easy read. A really good one to read right now, especially because we're in this weird time. We're in this weird place. We're at home. We're perhaps feeling less inspired and creative. And if it's something you've been wanting to cultivate while you are in this, you know, in this place that we're all sharing, I feel like this is a really good one. I just loved it. It's very inspiring. Like, look how easy it is to read in terms of like the word count and everything. In fact, I might even read this one again. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. It's divided into parts: courage, enchantment, permission, persistence, trust, and divinity. I mean, I think that says it all. She's my fave. I follow her on Instagram. Of course, she's the author of Eat, Pray, Love, but this is better. Okay, here we have, this all kind of goes together here. Marianne Williamson. You may remember her from running as a Democratic candidate in the presidential election, which I think was such a statement, such a sign of our times. She never had a chance of winning, obviously, given the climate, but I think her just having the stamina and the strength and the courage to show up that way and actually do that says a lot. And she had a lot of support, actually. So that gives me hope. I do, you know, I have no voting say in the US, but I was pretty proud of seeing that, I think, as a headline, and seeing her in the debates and everything. Anyways, first and foremost, she is an author. She is a spiritual teacher, and I've read most of her books, at least the key ones. So you can start anywhere. This is the one that kind of got me the most. It's called Enchanted Love, the Mystical Power of Relationships. This one helps if you're going through a breakup, having a hard time, challenging time in your relationship, feel tapped out of compassion and love and want to cultivate that more. This one really helps with that. It has you seeing things from a different perspective, from a very high perspective, a place of true unconditional love. It's helped me a lot. It's basically therapy in a book. And I just love this book. Again, it's another one where it's got a lot of dog ears, but I just, on any given day, sometimes just open it up and read a passage like this. I warn you, this will not be easy. I warn you, this will take some work. I warn you, love will burn you up. Are you ready to be burned, or would you rather just grow old? I think we all know the answer to that. Okay, so, but there's a lot of different things. Each chapter starts with a prayer. She does speak in, you know, like Dear God, and she speaks in like praying to God. She speaks about Christ consciousness. She says amen, all of that stuff. And I think at the beginning when I started to read Marianne Williamson, it kind of jarred me at first, and then very quickly, I think as I've been on my path and journey, that I realize that's just the way she describes it, but you don't have to describe it that way. Regardless, these prayers are super powerful. They are very resonant. I am obsessed with this book. I couldn't recommend this one more. I think this one, and I mean, it's hard to pick. These first four that I've mentioned are pretty key for me. So yeah, this is a good one. Now, her classic book is A Return to Love, which is this reflections on A Course in Miracles. And I don't know if you guys know anything about A Course in Miracles. Again, any spiritual practitioner of any sort has probably dabbled, if not completed, A Course in Miracles, this big old text that is exactly like a Bible. The author of A Course in Miracles says this was channeled by, they said they channeled Jesus Christ. So take it or leave it. I think it's pretty interesting. This is a lot to get through. Haven't even cracked open the course. Jeffrey, my friend Jeffrey, gave this to me because we're kind of interested in the teachings of A Course in Miracles. Both of us are not, you know, religious. We are spiritual. But anyway, starting with A Return to Love is a great place to start as well, because she just outlines the principles of it. Again, there could not be more underlined things in this book. It's all marked up. It's like, remember this, remember this, remember this. And I'm not really good at remembering quotes from people. Like, I don't cite people's quotes because I don't remember them, other than like easy ones like Thoughts Become Things, like Mike Dooley. But A Course in Miracles has many things that you want to just seep into your psyche and your soul and remember, concepts, lessons, and all these kinds of things. And so, yeah, I just, there's so much underlined and highlighted mess in here. And I actually do need to come back to this, I think. I don't know how to explain it. I don't want you to be scared off when I mention that it's a little bit, I guess, prefaced in the, like, it's not Christianity, like it's not the way that we've come to understand that. But it is sort of based in, I guess, a historical way of thinking about the world and about spirit. But I just look at it, it's more universal, I feel like. And if you need to change some words in your head when you're reading it, fine. But it's like, there's no denying that, like, A Course in Miracles really speaks truth about our life and why we're here on this planet and our role as human beings and souls. And anyway, that's really all I can say. If that piques your interest at all, start with A Return to Love, or you can start with, and I just read this last year, the year before, and I really, really liked this, A Course in Miracles Made Easy by Alan Cohen. So rather than reading this, you can read this. And this is interesting and fun and easy to read. All the lessons are there. He quotes the Course in Miracles like workbook, but you don't necessarily need to look at one or the other. And there's also exercises in here, which is, you can actually like sign up and do A Course in Miracles. They run them globally around the world because it's part of a foundation, the Foundation for Inner Peace. So this would take, I don't know how many weeks doing the actual courses, but I know it's really intense. And I feel like this way, this is more bite size. You can bite off little pieces. You can keep coming back to it. I need to come back to it. Oh, I just got a little love note in my book. I find them all the time. You guys can't see because the focus is so bad. Anyways, it says love you. Yeah, I'm super into A Course in Miracles. I'm not an expert at it. I haven't studied it thoroughly, but I do like coming back to it for its principles, for those reminders, that like kind of a constant reminder of, you know, keeping our egos in check, all that kind of stuff. Looking at life through the lens of God or of Source, seeing the best in all things, in people, all of that stuff. Like here's a line highlighted. Inner peace is your strongest platform to create global transformation. I believe that wholeheartedly. This is a key point of A Course in Miracles, and I just found it. A Course in Miracles tells us that every act is either an expression of love or a call for love. And another good quote, actually this is a quote that I do remember from A Return to Love, and it's from A Course in Miracles, and it's something Marianne Williams says. Oh my God, it just slipped my mind. Whatever you feel you are lacking in any given situation, no. Oh my God. See, I told you I'm not good at, it's basically whatever you feel is lacking in any given situation, it's because you are not giving it. We always want to blame someone else. Oh, they're not giving me this, they're not giving me that, they're not loving me, they're not close. It's you're not doing it. And so only what is not being given can be lacking in any situation. Something like that. Okay, anyways, I'm not good at quoting things. And then I really like, this was another Marianne Williamson book I read, Tears to Triumph, Spiritual Healing for the Modern Plagues of Anxiety and Depression. This actually is an easy read, really good to read right now, I feel like, given our situation, given our headspace, or the sort of, you know, dominant headspace of people. I feel like this would give people hope. This would give people clarity. This will give people something to think about, helping you surrender, give it up to God, as she says, or as the Course in Miracles says. So read that one, Tears to Triumph. I actually, look, I don't know why I'm on this chapter. I did finish it, but I think I was rereading it again. Interesting. It's on the chapter called Easter. And Easter just passed. Okay, a couple more here, a few more. This is one of the first spiritual books that I ever read about meditation and spirituality and like the idea that there's just more going on here than we think. Gary Zukav's Seat of the Soul. I should actually come back and read this because I read this in high school, and I feel like it's what gave me the, I don't know, the framework in which I lived at that time and how I saw the world, and yet didn't really have a place to do anything with that information. I I kept it inside. I knew it. I could feel it. Again, this idea of like something resonating with you. I think it's an important thing to understand and feel. And this was one of those things because I saw it on the Oprah Winfrey Show, which some of you might know the story, but my mom used to watch it all the time, and I'd watch it with her after school. And I just love Oprah. And then she had Gary Zukov on, and I feel like this was maybe one of the first times she ever had a conversation like this on television. But look, there's a chapter on intuition. There's a chapter on karma, reverence, evolution, relationships, the soul, psychology, illusion, power, and trust. So yeah, this really gave me the framework for the way I live my life, I think, or how I see the world. And this is a really great one. I'd love to read it now just to see if it holds up. It must. It definitely does, because it's just like core principles. It's about tapping into universal energy, universal source, your light within, going within, all of that stuff. So this is a great one. I'm going to reread that. I'm going to put that in my other pile. This is a good one. A lot to bite off and digest, but it's important. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. This one I've read front to back, and I always come back and read chapters. Again, another one where I like on any given day, if I just want a message, I just open it up and I read The Origin of Fear. And so this is almost like question and answer. It's almost like if you guys follow Abraham, it's kind of how like their books are designed as like question and answer, but it's like people asking the skeptical question, but what about this? But what about that? And then he comes up with an answer. It is about meditation. It is about being present. It's about understanding what now really means, what the past, the present, and the future holds, and how it manifests in your life, and getting into that headspace. Oh, here's an interesting one. Strengthening the immune system, self-healing meditations, all that stuff. This is a good one. This is also a Bible, like A Course in Miracles. This one is interesting, and I can't remember why I read this, but it's called The Journey by Brandon Bays. This is Brandon Bays on the cover. She cured herself of a uterine tumor, I believe. She had like a massive sized tumor in her uterus or something like this, and she healed it herself via meditation, deep, energetic, vibrational healing, not going the traditional routes of medicine. And I think I read it, I was working with a healer at one point who was we were just talking about the power of self-healing and that kind of thing, and I think she recommended I read it. So if that resonates with you, maybe you're going through something similar or sort of similar anyways, this is interesting to read. It's powerful, it's inspirational. Yes, a basketball-sized tumor in her uterus. Refused to do drugs and surgery. Instead discovered a powerful direct path to the potent healing power of the soul. 6.5 weeks later, she was tumor-free. And then I've just got a couple of books that I haven't read and am reading. One I'm reading right now. It's pretty entertaining. A light read, Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. Jeffrey, my friend, gave this to me. The subtitle is Some Instructions on Writing in Life. And I remember he gave this to me when I was out to work on my second cookbook. And the reason it came up is because he wants to write like a personal memoir. And we were kind of talking about how I had actually been approached about the idea of doing that myself, and I've never felt like that's something I want to do or should do. And I don't even want to call it a memoir. I don't think it would be a memoir because my life's really not that interesting. But I don't know. I've always just entertained this small idea of like, I think now that I did cookbooks and I sort of have this platform as well where you guys listen to me talk about random spiritual stuff, I was like, sort of started entertaining this idea of like, is it in me to write a different type of book, not a cookbook? And he gave this to me anyway just to read, and it's interesting because I picked it up and started reading it now. I'm 3/4 of the way through. And she's talking about writing fiction. She's talking about writing characters and plot points and all that stuff, but she does it in a really funny way, very light, not serious, like don't take yourself so seriously way. And so I've quite enjoyed reading it, and it's easy to get through. So I'm working on that one. And then Mare McHale, she is the handle Redhead Mare. If you've ever seen me wear that sweatshirt that says "You Do You." She sent that to me, and she offered to send me her book, which is available on Amazon, and she sent me a copy. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I will, Mare, and I think she has a really encouraging, inspirational story. She is a widow. She lost her husband, and obviously that, you know, shook up her life. But the book is called Finding Your Cape, How to Course Correct and Achieve Greatness When Things Don't Go As Planned. And I think universally that is something we can all relate to. And I'm excited to read this because she's getting vulnerable and sharing her personal story and journey. And I think she's probably got some amazing, profound life lessons in here. And I kind of want to know more. I actually don't know her story, but she very nicely sent me this book. So I'm going to read it during shelter at home. It's next up after I finish this one. So if you're interested, if this resonates for you, I'll put the link in the description. In fact, I'll put all the links to this. These are all physical books that I own and have ordered. There's a couple. There's actually one I'm listening to on Audible right now, but I actually recommend getting the physical book because it has some meditation exercises in the last 6 chapters or so that I think you actually need the physical book to like reference back to. But this, I've really liked listening to this right now. It's by Dr. Joe Dispenza. He is a healer and meditation teacher and speaker, and he's quite amazing. And this book is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One. And in a gist, the most fascinating part about the intro material of this book is he goes on to explain how mind and matter are interrelated and one can't exist without the other. And he sort of explains the science of the law of attraction. He basically explains from an atomic molecular level why it is the truth of how everything works on this planet. And I won't give it away, but he speaks about actual atoms and electrons and how it all works. And it just blew my mind to, I mean, I kind of knew this information because I had heard it before, but just listening to it when I did a couple weeks ago when I started the book, I was like, whoa, 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 and like just having like a mind melt. And it's really, really powerful. And so he's basically going to teach his meditation technique for breaking the habit of being yourself, like breaking the habit of your chronic habitual behaviors that you do not like and do not serve you, such as addiction, anger. I mean, anger is an addiction, but all these kinds of things. I'm got to the part where we're doing the meditation exercises, except I think without the physical book, I'm having a hard time keeping track of all the things I'm supposed to be writing in my journal and all that stuff. So I feel like I'm going to order the physical book so I can have that one in my little spiritual library here. So I hope you liked all of that and that you find some new reads. Let me know what you've read in the comments below. Maybe you have some other recommendations, which I'm open to adding to my list. The other insane thing is I have a whole note on my phone that's like got so many books recommended there, and whether I'll get through them all before I die is I probably won't. Okay, so happy World Book Day. It's tomorrow. Read all day, turn off the screens, and enjoy some learning and some fun stuff in your books. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with more videos every Wednesday. Of course, there's a new Hot for Food video this week also, so click on over and watch that if you haven't already. And I'll see y'all soon. Bye. Hope you're safe. Love you.